why do I want to be a priest? That's a great question, and something that really was a question in my heart for a long time. Because I believe that Jesus asked me to be, because I felt that call in my heart, and that's why I pursued it in the way that I did. I was in optometry school, actually, studying to be an eye doctor. And when I noticed that call was still on my heart, the Lord still drawing me closer to Himself, that evoked within me a desire to respond. And within the past 2 years, I did the propedeutic year 2 years ago, and last year studying philosophy. I've noticed even a deepening of that desire. Really, the sacrificial role that the priest plays as a father, laying down his life for the people of God. And that's something that I've noticed has deepened within that call. Being at the seminary, there's so many blessings, so many ways that the Lord gives us, so much. He's never outdone in generosity. And so many things that I'm looking forward to in this year are, of course, our formation seminars, our integrated formation seminars. We had, as a day of recollection, Bishop Cousins here yesterday, and he talked about living priesthood as a self-gift and what that means, especially in the vocation of celibacy, being called to celibacy. So I would say especially some of those spiritual areas that we're afforded here at the seminary is what I'm very much looking forward to. Likewise, this year I'll be in Philosophy 2, the second year of philosophy, and so I'll be studying the modern philosophers and contemporary philosophy. And so previously, last year, getting to see how the church views man versus how we've, especially my generation, have imbibed how the culture sees man. So to see that juxtaposition and how to pastorally respond to that in the hearts of others is something I'm very much looking forward to this year. Yeah, there's many extracurriculars that are afforded us here, and one that I just finished up with yourself included, Father Taphorn, our rector. There was 12 of us together that ran from Saint Paul to Duluth in the Ragnar race for the summer of 2024. That was something that I loved, contributing almost as a part to formation, this brotherhood that we kind of had as we were together in a race, passing the baton. That's one area that I've loved to engage in while in seminary. Also the basketball tournament we have, the Rector's Bowls. These are some of the more recreational activities I've been involved with. And again, Bishop Cousins spoke of yesterday, recreation being something that's recreative, not pursuing these for your own glory, your own pride, or even just as a place to relax, but really to be renewed in a way to receive the formation that we're given here at the seminary. In any sport, any event, there's a give and take. You're not the only one performing, and very much so in the Christian life. You have your own gifts and talents, and those are complemented by those in the body of Christ. And so I've noticed this, especially in basketball. One guy's going to be down on the post, another guy needs to be controlling the floor. And even in Ragnar, we had specific talents and men with different gifts. And really seeing that play out in that way has been almost an implicit way that I've learned how to be open to others' gifts and talents, and then to share mine too with others. Yeah, there can be a tendency that there may be a dampening of that initial flame of desire for the priesthood when you start to notice the mundanity of life, the monotony. It's the Eucharist. That's what keeps me engaged, and more so than engaged, really enlivened with the love of Christ. So continually returning to the sacraments, spending time in adoration, really letting the Lord speak to me, even in those moments when I may not be able to hear Him, is really what can continue to enliven that desire. And I've noticed that especially through the past 2 years. The propedeutic year for me, like I mentioned, was foundational for this ability to listen to the Lord, even those moments that may not appear to be His presence as you'd expect it. Surely, I was very blessed to have priests at a young age, priests while in high school, priests that were foundational in my life in college. And what I saw in them was first and foremost a love for the Eucharist. The way they celebrated the Mass, the way they would genuflect to the tabernacle, I could tell they believed. The way they lived showed me that they believed in what they were doing and what they had laid down their life for. I had an elderly priest when I was young at my parish in Montana, and he would always say, if the Lord's calling you, don't be afraid. And that's something I need to continually hear, and I think we all do, is don't be afraid of His voice. In college, likewise, throughout high school and college, there were priests in whose life I saw joy, in whose life I saw a dedication to the Lord, and along with the sacrifices, the way that they were able to live the love of the Lord was really inspirational to me. And so I think it was that witness of their life, more so than reading any book or learning more about the priesthood, that really led me here in the first place. Yes, I think the daily holy hour becomes a staple in your life in seminary. It wasn't for me prior. You know, I would pray at certain times, but the holy hour has become something foundational and really a moment not that is isolated, that's siloed in the day, but as kind of a locus that extends out throughout my day. So being with the Lord in the morning in holy hour then gives me inspiration to see him in other events throughout the day, whether they may be in brothers, in those outside of the seminary. So really kind of that constant reflection and recollection of the Eucharistic Lord even throughout the midst of the day, I would say has been very important in seminary. Well, St. John Vianney says that the priesthood is the love of the heart of Jesus. And so where have I seen those areas of growth in that love? I would say primarily an area that comes to mind is my apostolic works. So the Saint Paul Seminary affords us the ability to go into schools within the area and to volunteer there. And I was in a school in Minneapolis where I helped kids from all ages. I was primarily in first grade. And so to see the joy in their hearts when I walk into the classroom, because they see me as someone who is a father figure, who they look up to as a mentor, and who loves the faith, who loves Jesus. And so to be able to bring Jesus to them has been instrumental in growing in my love of the heart of Jesus. One other experience, if I can mention it, this summer, I was back in Montana and we were on the Blackfeet Reservation as part of our seminarian days. And we have a mass with the whole tribe that our bishop presides over. And in one moment during the sign of peace, the lady who helps us, who kind of organizes that trip every summer, I saw her going to different people throughout the group that was gathered there and giving the sign of peace. And she had such a love in her eyes. I could see it. And then the people who were responding to her, that was really a moment when I saw the Lord's heart being lived out in a vocation so specific to that tribe, to that area, but a moment that really spurred me on to continue a deepening of my own love and to let the Lord grow that love within my heart. Well, it's primary. I think first we know that we must acknowledge and live in our identity as sons. And once we can live as a son, then we can be a father. I've been very blessed with a good earthly father, and I think to grow in that role as a priestly father is something that I will continue to be afforded here at the seminary. One thing that really struck me yesterday is how central it is to a father to lay down his life. And in the priesthood, of course, this is different, but it's like the Mass. We're bringing all of ourselves to the sacrifice on the altar. And so in the vocation of priesthood, we're bringing every aspect of myself, whether it be my talents, my gifts, those areas of interest, and really laying that down for the people of God. And so to be a father in that way is something that I want to continue to grow in.